Part 2 of the guide. So where were we? At the last video, we explained the reasoning behind the preferred set legendary equipment, and I forgot to explain Dead Kin. So the reason why we choose Dead Kin over Beacon of Lead is because this people are turned away from this. That the requirement for the enemy to have a harmful effect. But the thing is, it doesn't have to come from you. When the boss is suffering a harmful effect, it can come from your party member, or even from non-party members. I've discovered through tests that non-party members are also considered, and this will be triggered to its full potential almost all the time when you do raids or party dungeons. Okay, so let's move on to the set items. For the set items, this is what I prefer, the 6-piece shepherds. But one thing to note about the usage of my set items is I prefer a specific type of magic attribute, and it's damage by your summons increased. So if you look here, intellect, damage by summons, and red socket. For this, 10% intellect. Unfortunately, I've not yet found a red socket version of this. Same here. For the gloves, there's this option which is slightly better, since this will affect your primary attack. But 10% summon damage is also pretty much the same. And then, so why do I prefer using a 6-piece over the more popular 4-piece shepherds and 2-piece shell boss? Because again, most of the time, most of the content that you'll be going through is content that won't last really long. So this increases your summons damage by 60% for 12 seconds. Most bosses die within that time frame, and the value of burst options in this game is high due to the nature of the bosses you face here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the set items. For the gems, here's most of the gems that I choose tend to be damage modifiers. Now the thing is, there are 3 types of damage modifiers. There's the additive, there's multiplicative, and the other one I prefer to call is pseudo multiplicative. Now how does that work? So the additive version of damage modifier increases your damage from the base damage. It increases your damage from the base damage. For example, your base damage is 100,000. For example, your skeleton hits 100,000. Let's say Berserker's Eye, 10% damage or something. It will increase the base damage of that by 10%. So it's gonna be 110,000. However, if you're gonna use a multiplicative gem, it doesn't modify the base damage, but it modifies the total damage. So it's really superior to additive damage. For example, this versions of this is Pain Clasp. Rank 10 of this increases your damage by 24%, raw 24%. It doesn't just increase the base damage, it increases your total damage. The same with Bloody Reach. It's 24% at rank 10, and you're farther away, so it also increases the damage of your total damage. The thing is, it also stacks. For example, you hit for 100,000, and then the Pain Clasp increases it by 24%, so it's gonna be 124,000. And then if you compute it by increasing by another 24% due to Bloody Reach, you will expect another 24,000. But no, instead you're gonna be adding 29,000 or 30,000, because it will. There's the new total damage is the one that's being multiplied. So it's adding damage upon damage that's already been multiplied. So that's why it's called multiplicative. And there's another gem type that I prefer to call pseudo multiplicative gems. So what is this? Basically, they function like a multiplicative damage modifier, but they but they do so in other ways that is not increasing your raw damage. So for example, this Freedom and Devotion increases the duration of your summons by 24%. So what this means is it will increase the duration of your Golem and your Reapers by 24%. So you can't see per se that it increases the damage by 24%. For example, you can't see the damage itself turning to 124,000, but the duration itself, it means that your summons will attack more before they expire. So Golem and Reapers, they provide around 60% of your total damage. So adding 24% of that is like, you do the math, it's around 14% total damage increase because of this. And that's, yeah, I hope you understand the explanation of the additive, multiplicative, and the pseudo multiplicative. So knowing this, my preferred gem choices are, for the additive ones, additive versions is Blood-Soaked Jade, Berserker's Eye, and Bottled Hope. Although I prefer using Follower's Burden. However, in this case, I've kind of trashed it because I wanted to use the gem power. But yeah, most of the time I would prefer Follower's Burden over Bottled Hope. So these three things, they are additive damage modifier, which means they only add the damage of your base damage. However, for the Pain Clasp, this increases the total damage of your damage. So this is really highly valuable. The same with Bloody Reach. It's a multiplicative damage modifier. And my pseudo damage modifier gems are Freedom and Devotion, like I've explained earlier. Mother's Lament. So to explain it in another way, so you're increasing your critical hit chance by 32% for 6 seconds. It's not really increasing your damage, but your total damage is being increased by this effect. And my highest damage modifying gem is Echoing Shade. Echoing Shade is kinda nuts in my opinion for Necromancers, because for example, I hit 150,000. My normal primary attack hits for 150,000. My clone from Echoing Shade, if you proc a Soulfire Echoing Shade, it will hit for like 180,000. It's crazy. So imagine if you have a rank 7 Echoing Shade, having 3 of that is a huge DPS increase boost. So I know a lot of people are shitting on Echoing Shade, but to me, after my countless of calculations, it's my highest DPS gem. All these 3 shadow clones are crazy. So yeah, that's about it for that build, and I'm gonna do some highlight. I'm gonna show it. So I think this boss is around 20 million HP. Let's see how fast we can kill. I'm removing the boots so the shepherds won't proc. We want the shepherds to proc during the boss fight. As you can see here, I'm already trying to summon Echoing Shade clones, but they're not coming out. Oh, if you see it, the boss HP pretty much got shredded in 6 million in like 2 seconds. So yeah, this is really highly effective in raids, in boss fights, pretty much. So good luck, have fun with your Necromancer. It's really one of the strongest classes in game in terms of PVE, probably the strongest by a long shot.